Hello students of Standard 9. DAV Mall Public School welcomes you all in e-learning class. This is Nitin Pushpatode, your social science teacher. Today's topic is the outbreak of revolution. Students, in the previous online session, we learned about the French society during the 18th century. So, let's start today's our online session. Students, first of all, we will discuss about the outbreak of revolution. Students, how did outbreak of revolution happen in France? Listen, students. First of all, monarch could not impose taxes. He needed approval of State General to pass the proposal. Students, on 5th May 1789, Louis XVI called for an assembly of the State General to pass the proposals for new taxes. First state, second state, and third states sent their representatives. The first and second state sent 300 representatives each, who were seated in rows facing the other on two sides. Third states was represented by its more prosperous and educated members, but they faced discrimination and had to stand at the back. Students, in the given picture, this situation you are seeing. Students, peasants, artisans, and women were denied. Listen, students, peasants, artisans, and women were denied entry to the assembly, but they sent their demands and grievances through the representatives. The members of the third state demanded the voting should be conducted by taking assembly as a whole, but the king rejected this proposal of the third state members. So that's why third state representatives walked out of the assembly in protest. So this was the entire incidence of outbreak of the revolution in 1789. Students, next one, France become a constitution monarchy. How did France become a constitution monarchy? Listen, power divided among the legislature, executive, and judiciary. Not all citizens had to right to vote. Declaration of the rights of man and citizen. Students, the National Assembly completed the draft of the Constitution in 1791. When? In 1791. Its main objective was to limit the power of monarchs. Students, what was the main objective of Constitution monarchy of France? Listen, what? Its main objective was to limit the power of monarch. Now the powers were separated as assigned to different institutions like the legislature, executive, and judiciary. Through these three organs, constitution monarch powers was going on. Okay, students, this change of powers made France constitution monarch. So that entire setup this refers to France become a constitutional monarch. Students, under the new constitution, the laws were to be made by the National Assembly. The assembly was indirectly elected, that is, active citizens voted for a group of electors. Listen, students, the assembly was indirectly elected, that is, active citizens voted for a group of electors who in turn choose the assembly members. Students, men who were above the 25 years of age and who paid taxes equal to at least 3 days of the labor's wage were given the status of active citizens. Students, in the given picture you are seeing at the bottom passive citizens and active citizens. Students, what do you mean by the active citizens? Listen, those who paid taxes equal to at least 3 days of the labor's wages were given the status of active citizens. Only they had power to give vote. Okay, they had right to vote. The remaining, then again, the remaining men and all women were classed as a passive citizens. That means they had no right to vote. Listen, students, to qualify as an electors and then as a member of the assembly, a man had to belong to the highest bracket of taxpayer. Okay, so students, such type of political system under the constitution of monarch in a 1791. Okay, first of all, active citizen elected the electors, then again electors elected the national assembly representatives. Near about the 745 representatives were there. Then on that, kings and the minister just watching, and just run the power of constitutional monarch. Students, next one, the reign of terror. Listen, students, the reign of terror. The period from 17 listen the period from 1793 to 1794 it refers to as reign of terror in France. Robespierre, listen students, who was Robespierre? Robespierre was the leader of Jacobin club. Robespierre followed a policy of severe control and punishment. Many people were arrested and tried by the Revolutionary Tribunal. They included all those people who were considered enemies of republic by the Robespierre. If the court found them guilty, then they were guillotined. Guillotine means what, students? This is the instrument for murder. Peasants were forced to transport their grain to the cities and sell it as prices fixed by the government. Students' churches were shut down and their buildings were converted into barracks or offices. Robespierre became a virtual dictator of France. Such like that means there was a terror of Robespierre among the people. So next one, some reformers were happen. Okay, some reformers were done by the Robespierre. Which reformers were there, listen students? Maximum limit set for wages and prices. Then rationing of meat and bread. Again, pigeons to sell grains to government at fixed prices. Expensive white flour forbidden. Use of bread made of whole wheat. His policies were too harsh to be followed. Students, again the shutting down of the churches and converting them into the barracks and officer. So these are the reforms which are done by the Robespierre during that time. Students, next one, directory rules of France. Listen, under that, after the fall of Jacobin club powers, listen students, after the decline of the power of Robespierre, the wealthier middle class seized power. Okay, a new constitution was introduced which denied the vote to the non-propertied society. Listen, students, it provided for two elected legislative councils. The these councils appointed a directory and executive made up of the five members. It was meant as a safeguard against the concentration of powers in a one-man executive. Students, the idea of freedoms, equality, and the fraternity remained inspiring ideals that motivated political movements for the France and the rest of the Europe. So this was the directory rules of France during that time. Okay, so our next one, the abolition of slavery. Listen, the greatest how did the abolition of slavery there? The greatest social reforms made by the Jacobin government was to abolish slavery in France colonies. The French colonies in the Caribbean like Martinique, Guadeloupe, and the San Domingo were important suppliers of tobacco, indigo, sugar, and coffee, etc. The French needed workers for plantation in their colonies, but the Europeans did not want to work in a distant unknown lands. Thus, a three-way trade in slaves started between the Europe, Africa, and America in the 17th century. This was known as triangular slave trade. Listen, students, this was known as triangular slave trade. French merchants sailed from the ports of Bordeaux or Nantes of the African coast, where they brought slaves from local cheat funds. Students, after long debates, the National Conventions passed a law, that means National Assembly passed a law in 1794, and it declared slavery illegal and freed all the slaves in France. After 10 years, again it was started by the Napoleon. So in such a that, first of all, due to the that means due to the interference of the National Assembly, it was abolished. The slavery was abolished in France. Okay, students, in such a way that today we will learn about the whole incidents in the France which was done during the 18th century. Okay, students, on the basis of today's content, some assignment question I am giving you. Students, in the first, second, and third assignment questions. You have to write the answer of this question. Students, in the last question, ask about the Mirabes and Siabes. Students, who were they? Listen. Mirabes and the Abbasias, they were the representative of the third estate. Listen, students, Mirabe was born in a noble family, but discarded his feudal privileges, and Abbasias was originally a priest. He wrote an influential pamphlet called the What is This? What is the Third Estate? What is the third estate? This pamphlet was written by Abbasias. Okay, students. So they were the representative of third estate. Okay, students, in such a way that you have to write the answer of these three questions. Okay, students, remaining part of this lesson we will learn in the next online session. Okay, students, thank you very much. Have a nice day.